to you live from Egypt.
Hello.
Hashtag
Hello.
The chat is just flying right now, and I cannot see anything that you guys are typing. So far, we've got, looks like 768 people in the chat.
And we may not have the best connection.
Yeah, we may not have.
We may not even have a connection at all, as far as we know right now.
Like you and I have a connection, but we're talking internet connection.
Yeah, we're talking internet connection,
Yeah.
baby. So hopefully, it's 3 a.m. here in Egypt. It's actually Monday morning, 3 a.m., but we have not been able to sleep right since we left a week ago.
It's been a challenge, that's for sure, to get adjusted with the time change.
I keep asking George every day, do you have jet lag? Do you have jet lag? And she'll be like, no, why? And I'm like, I don't know. It's 11 a.m. You just went to bed again. It's 3 p.m. You just went to bed again. It's 2 a.m. You're like, Jeremy, please stay up with me and watch movies. I don't want to be alone. I think you have jet lag, babe. Just a little bit.
Is that what jet lag is?
Yeah, your body is all out of sync. You are still on Ohio sync.
So right now in Ohio, it's
8 p.m. in Ohio.
8 p.m. Ohio, which is Eastern time. And then here in Egypt time, it's 3 a.m.
By the time our bodies actually sync with Egypt time, will be time to go back home to Ohio.
Yeah.
So what an incredible experience we have had just in our first week.
It's been one Hales of an experience so far.
I've got questions for you.
For me?
So before we even left, I mean, I tried to prep you. I've done a lot of traveling around the world, and I have absolutely loved it. And George has done minimal traveling, but with a desire to travel around the world. And I kind of prepped you beforehand. I kind of gave you some things.
Well, let's be clear. I've done a lot of traveling, but I've done mostly domestic traveling.
Yes.
I've traveled to Mexico. I've traveled to Canada. I've traveled to different continents touching the U.S.
So everything centralized for maximum tourism.
I've never been overseas.
You should have never ever been overseas. And one of the things I prepped you for going overseas was, can you think? I mean, it's 3 a.m. here. Can we talk about some of the things that we've talked about?
I've been to Hawaii, which is a 6-hour time difference. They're 6 hours behind. Here, Egypt is 7 hours behind. But that was like 10 years ago.
But
so
preparation, we talked about preparation.
The cream?
No, not the cream. Even though we have to pack it just in case. Whoever's sending super chats, thank you so much.
I did remember to bring the fist pump, so here's a fist pump to everyone that sent a super chat so far. We've got over 2,300 people watching right now.
We can't see the super chats,
the chats
but we'll go back.
That we can't even see it right now on our teeny tiny screen. We're going live from my cell phone, and we're using my data because the Wi-Fi here in the hotel isn't the greatest.
We tried to set up Wi-Fi earlier on a stream, and it didn't work too well.
Yeah, so if you guys hopped on to our test live on our second channel, that one went well. But there's an Egyptian soccer game, and soccer is huge out here. So I think a lot of the guests are hooked up to the Wi-Fi.
Bigger than the pyramids.
And
that's how big the soccer is.
They're taking all the juices.
They love the soccer. They're like, hello, soccer, hello.
So another fist pump to everyone that's on right now.
So in preparation coming out, we kind of talked, what are some of the things that I told you? Going overseas, every time I've been overseas in another country, I always come home very appreciative and knowing that in America we are beyond spoiled. And I prepped you for that, and I'm not sure you were actually prepped for it, but we as Americans are beyond spoiled. It's in some instances where I've been overseas, the the selfishness that we have as Americans and the way that we are so spoiled. It sometimes it's just disgusting as you come back home from overseas. And so I've done everything from sleep on concrete. Literally in Italy, I've slept on a concrete floor with no mattress, with bugs all around me, because I was helping establish a Christian camp in Italy. To Japan, I slept on a 1-inch foam piece of something. I don't even know what it was. My back was thrown out the entire time, and lo and behold,
That's for all the super chats.
we find ourselves in Egypt. And what was it like coming to Egypt? What was it even like with the flights for you? I'm just curious.
So I don't do well traveling. I don't do well flying, mainly because I feel like the older I get, the more sensitive I am to motion sickness. So I pretty much vomited from motion sickness every time we landed, and we had 2 stops.
So for you, the motion of the ocean is
we had
bad.
3 stops:
Bad.
New York, Rome, Italy, and Cairo, Egypt. And every time the pilot landed, there was like some type of like
Bathroom break?
no
Turbulence?
I guess you could say turbulence, but it
Little
was like a
shake.
rocky landing, and so I have to keep my eyes closed because it
Little
helps.
weeble wobble.
And I just make a beeline straight to the bathroom.
And then she gets back into the plane and they bring out food and she's like, oh, shrimp. Oh, fish. Oh. And I'm sitting here
I
going,
just vomited
oh
all
my
my
goodness.
food. I gotta put more energies in my belly.
Don't eat this stuff. Don't eat this
It
stuff.
has
And
nothing
she
to
still
do.
eats
It has nothing to do with what I'm eating. It's the fact that I'm getting motion sickness. So no matter what I eat, it's gonna come out, and I have to put food in my stomach again. Otherwise, I'm gonna pass out.
And if George gets motion sickness, she gets cranky. And if she gets cranky, life isn't fun. So,
I get cranky because no one likes the feeling of nausea. Like, nausea is one of the worst suffering.
So my job this entire trip is to make sure she's laughing as much as possible. From the flights
So now we have all these
to the
inside
nights.
jokes
Oh my
here
goodness.
in
We
Egypt.
we have so many personal inside jokes as it is anyway, and now we're adding a whole new Egyptian element to it. Hello.
Yeah, but every day gets better, obviously, and there's just so much more to explore, and we've just only explored a teeny tiny slither, but we will be with my family
Tomorrow.
this week, tomorrow and
We should see
the rest
them
of the
tomorrow.
week.
Which is actually today. For them, it's Sunday night, 8 p.m.
Well,
in
unless our
Ohio,
viewers are also
which our
overseas.
viewers are all over the place.
Yeah,
But
we have a lot of viewers all over the world.
right now, it's 3 a.m. in Egypt. We are in Cairo, Egypt, right now. I think JK is looking for us, but
Is he?
I'm pretty sure Marilyn Raby Sucks Dried Gravy is looking for us too, but I think she found George first. Everybody who was concerned about George's channel taking a risk, don't worry. He took a risk, but it paid off in the long run. He's back.
He's back in business.
Anybody who noticed taking a risk was gone, he took a risk. He took a big risk, but he's back.
He's back. Yeah, thankfully he is back and back in business.
9 p.m. tonight, he's got a story of all stories to share with
Yeah,
you.
we're gonna be on that live. Not on the panel, but you'll find us in the live chat.
Because we can't sleep, so unless it's during the day, we don't sleep. So we get our first driver. You booked a driver, which George did an incredible job of booking things before we even got here into Egypt. So one of the things we talked about, she said, hey, do you want to go to Egypt? I absolutely want to go to Egypt. And I told her, I'll keep everything going with the businesses, which we have multiple businesses. You plan everything for Egypt, and she did. So we got a driver. What was your thought in the process as we were driving an hour to Giza for our apartment?
Well, when we first landed, I didn't get any self-service. And so the driver that I had booked knew exactly what flight we were on, when it was landing, and it literally took us an hour from the time that the plane taxied to the time that we had to go through declarations, we had to get visitor visas, and then we had to go through customs, and then we had to go through additional security. So that took like a good solid hour.
And our visas are good for 30 days, which we anticipate using them.
Yes, and then I knew he would be standing outside with my name on a sign.
And we anticipated having full international data as well.
Yes.
George paid for data with her plan. I paid for international with my plan, which they told me it covered. Anybody who's been trying to text me or phone call me, I am not receiving anything, and nor will I until I get home. The international plan that I bought is not for being outside of the United States. It's for calling internationally inside of the United States.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can do, I can respond to emails. If anybody's been trying to get a hold of me, email is the only way to get a hold of me. And probably anybody who's watching who actually has my information would be my buddy Tim. Who else would be watching and has my information that would
all
need
the
to get
AA
hold of?
guys.
The AA guys have probably been texting
tried to
me.
reach you and couldn't.
Yeah, he couldn't reach me
through Wi-Fi.
So the AA, all our AA buddies, you guys have to actually email me, or you can send me a message through WhatsApp. If I'm on Wi-Fi, then I'm okay. Every other business deal that we have going on, we've let people know to email me versus text or call me, because we have their emails. And the biggest one going on is the new house. Once we get back, we finalize the purchase of the new house, which is going to be really incredible for our business and for our family as well.
So the driver is messaging me on WhatsApp, which is it's an app where you can text and call using Wi-Fi, but it's no good if you have no cell service.
If you've got no service, you are stuck. And if you've got no communication, which we land and we have no communication,
no idea
neither
where
of us.
he is, and somehow, some way, his messages came through and it said which gate he would be waiting, and I couldn't respond back, and so we get out there and Jeremy sees, I didn't have my glasses on, but Jeremy sees my name and he's like, there he is.
I saw George. I just saw this big sign. I was like, the infamous George. I was like, it's gotta be him.
And so he told me what his name was, and I said his name.
Muhammad.
And he said yes. And he goes, follow me. And then he goes, first he goes, welcome. And then he says, follow me. And then we walk, and that's when I see my first sunset, which was really, really pretty. And for those of you who know, I'm obsessed with sunsets.
Sunsets.
And waterfalls.
Tall, nerdy, white guy.
Chocolate.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And so
here's the funniest thing. I'm gonna interrupt. Here's the funniest thing. People everywhere stare at us here.
Oh yeah.
And it's not really they're staring at her. She looks like
He's like
she
the
blends
tallest
in.
guy in the
They're
country.
staring at me. So the first look is, and then it's cell phones and pictures. You're actually going to see this in a video on Tuesday. A kid was surrounded by some of the most amazing artifacts in the world, turns his camera to take video of me instead of these ancient art. He's recording me instead of the most amazing artifacts in the world. And then the second look is, why is that Egyptian chick with him?
Yeah, they probably all just assume that I'm Egyptian, and they're probably like, you are breaking the law right now by being with an American. That's my only guess.
That or they're like,
we went shopping.
If she can
today.
get one, so can I.
So I'm gonna kind of veer off and go off topic, but we went shopping today at the mall for the first time, and we were literally being followed everywhere in the stores.
Every store following on our heels, on my heels.
Because it was probably so foreign to them to see a female who is potentially an Egyptian citizen with a tall white guy.
I just assume they all figure I'm our bodyguard. All right, so we got the driver. We found the driver.
We finally made it to his car, and I asked him how long is the drive, and he said 1 hour. But according to my research before we landed, the distance should have been a half hour. But with traffic and the insanity of traffic here.
Okay, traffic is absolutely insane. They use their horn for everything. They use their flashers for everything. There are no rules, no laws. There are no pedestrian rights. You will see people literally walk right in front of a speeding car honk. I mean, it's just, if you have anxiety, you will...
Your heart will be up here in your throat because cars are literally on top of each other. There's no street signs. There's no
anything. There's a road
there's
and
no
vehicles.
crosswalks like they have in the U.S. There's no street signs or street lights like they have in the U.S. There's no stop signs like they have in the U.S. There's no speed limit.
So I've told her the only worst driving conditions I've seen, and by the way, the locals, they have it down pat. I mean, it's their normal, and that's the one thing I shared that with George too. We come from a different set of rules. We come from a different society and culture in America, and we want to learn the other cultures and experience the other cultures, and that's part of the fun of overseas traveling. And so just because it's different doesn't make it wrong. Now, it's not that George isn't going to jump behind a vehicle and try and drive, but the only worst conditions I've seen is Italy. Italy is the exact same way, only 10 times more aggressive, and every 100 feet there's a car accident.
And surprisingly,
we haven't seen a single accident in
one
Egypt.
Accident.
We have not seen one accident in
We've
Egypt.
seen
yet.
one breakdown.
And we saw one guy off of a motorcycle that we think he got hit, but we're not sure.
There's a lot of cars that just kind of pull off to the side of the freeway, and there's always a bunch of people just kind of hanging out on the shoulder.
The cars are within inches, 6 inches, and if you think I'm joking, Tuesday's video, when we say the term, you can reach out and touch somebody.
You'll see how close everyone drives close to each other.
You're gonna get to see reaching out and touching somebody.
I have seen a lot of YouTube videos and then like a lot of videos that pop up on Facebook with the drivers in India, and it's very similar too, where there's a lot of motorcycles and there's a lot of cars that just kind of, you literally have to bogart your way through everything. So I was kind of familiar with that type of traffic and congestion, but to physically be in it, watching a video of it is completely different versus physically being in it.
She thought she was nauseous from the flights, and then we got in the vehicle, and she's got my hand, and she's just squeezing the life out of my body.
You think his skin is white now? It was even whiter because I was
squeezing the life out of my body. She couldn't handle it.
Needless to say, it was a very long 1 hour drive to the place that I had booked that had amazing views of the pyramid.
False pictures on the website and no GPS location. Our driver went above and beyond because it was not in maps. He had to drive around the ghettos of Giza, and this is not an exaggeration. It's literally the ghettos of Giza, and he had to put himself in harm's way and to try and find this location and ask every single person out on the roads in the middle of the night.
The locals were at least nice and try to help every person he asked, and no one seemed to know where it was.
This place was back in an alley in the midst of abandoned buildings, crumbled down, buildings, the whole deal. Mm-hmm. And he finally, after a half hour driving around,
another local knew exactly where it was.
Finally got us to it. And so,
walked. He literally walked, and we had to follow him. Our driver followed him, and he pointed us in the right direction.
I didn't think we were ever going to get there. I was like, I told her, I was like, this had to be a scam.
So what should have been an hour drive ended up being an hour and 40 minutes to get to our destination.
So I made sure I tipped the driver. It was almost $400. So
yeah.
So U.S. funds, obviously we have the dollar, and then we have the Egyptian pound. We would call it the pound here, and so the rate is like $1 US is almost the equivalent to 15.
It's a little over 15. It's like $15 and some change.
So we paid what for that drive? That drive, maybe 15 American dollars, if that. 20 American dollars.
You gave him a 20.
No, what did we pay? What did we pay for the actual drive? Because the Ubering and taxing is so cheap out there.
Oh, it was like over 300.
Egyptian?
Yeah.
So American, what would it be, $10 for him to drive us from the airport to the apartment?
Yeah, like 17.
All right, so we gave him a $20 crisp, brand new $20.
And his eyes.
And so for him,
so he tipped him $20 US, which was more than what the ride was.
Yeah.
Because the ride was $17, so we made sure that
So made sure we took care of him.
he
For
had a good
him,
night. He goes, oh, thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend.
hello. Made sure because he went above and beyond to take care of us, and we wanted to go above and beyond to take care of us. For us in the U.S., and here's the thing: we are so spoiled, and being overseas again emphasizes that. I don't know how many times I've said to you, we are so spoiled. We are so spoiled as we've been here. It's like I've told George again and again and again, because of being overseas and doing so much Christian ministry overseas in different areas, I've shared with her that if you can say that you have a roof over your head, whether you're having a house or an apartment, if you're eating 3 meals a day, even if you're living,
they're called villas out here.
even if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you are in the top 1% most wealthy people in the world.
Here's all of the super chats that I missed. Like, we can't see the chat, you guys. We're so sorry. We're on my cell phone right now, and the screen is very little in comparison to the laptop. We're having a hard time connecting to the hotel Wi-Fi for those of you who are hopping on.
A home, food, paying your bills week to week, even if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you are in the top 1% wealthiest in the world. And so I keep telling George, I was like, we're so fortunate, we're so blessed. You know, this is even with the new house that we're buying, we have reasons and purpose behind why we're buying it. We want to use what God has gifted us to use for other things, for His glory and for His honor. And we talk about this all the time. God has blessed us. God has blessed us. God has blessed us. We're to be a blessing to others as well. And so,
part of our spiritual gifts.
yeah, absolutely. And so that and a lot of the resource, the love comes from that. I think a lot of people, they saw videos and they're like, oh, Jeremy and George are going to restore the love in Egypt. We might give a pyramid back. Maybe. Maybe. You know, we buy it, maybe give it back. We give it back to the pharaohs if we can find them. But
so going into this creepy alley to get to the
incredible driver,
the tall apartment building that overlooks the awesome views, tons of stray cats
everywhere. Oh my
Tons.
goodness, wait till Tuesday's video.
tons of stray dogs. And you know, I was kind of disappointed because we did not find one stray sphinx.
We're still looking.
I'm still looking, but I'm kind of disappointed because I know I can give that stray sphinx a good home.
But we've been looking for your mummy too, and I think we found the mummy. We found the mummy. If you have never seen George's mummy, you want to watch Tuesday's video because mummy was found.
Yes.
Mummy was
Mummies,
found.
plural.
Mummies were found.
Plural.
I want my mummies.
So then the maintenance guy lives on site. He didn't speak English very well, but I did download Google Translate. So you speak into it and you tell it which language you want it to convert to. So I picked from English to Arabic, and I was able to communicate with him using Google Translate. I would just hit the speaker, say what I need to say, and it would translate in Arabic to him. And that's how I was able to communicate with a lot of people so far.
So we lost half the power in the
fuse blew right away.
Blew your heating blanket. So this is the funny thing. If George is nauseous, she gets cranky. If she's hungry, she gets cranky.
So I did.
If she's cold, she gets cranky. If she's not comfortable, she gets cranky.
If you're from the U.S., you know that the outlets look nothing like the outlets out here overseas. So you do have to buy a special adapter that converts the outlets that we're used to in the United States. And so I went to go plug it in. The apartment was a little chilly, and then I carry this. It's like a traveling heated throw.
It was a Christmas gift
that he got me for Christmas, and I absolutely love my heated blankets. But this was like a travel throw, and I plugged it in. The entire thing, just like the temperature control box, blew up and popped. And then we lost power in half the apartment. But it was crazy that it even blew the breaker box because I didn't even turn it on. All I did was plug it in.
By the way, the apartment was supposed to be multiple bedrooms for the
Yes.
family coming in.
It was supposed to have a balcony.
It was supposed to have a balcony that we could go out on. So
So
all of these things
They misrepresented everything.
were not. The only thing that actually was in there that was represented was
The view
of the pyramids. So that first video, you got to see the view of the pyramids.
Because initially I had booked an apartment that would accommodate myself, Jeremy, my brother, his daughter,
Your mom.
and then my mom. And it ended up being like a one
It was just
bedroom
one
apartment.
room with a bathroom that flooded like crazy.
Yeah, they had no idea where the flooding was coming from, and I kept explaining to the maintenance guy through Google Translate that the water is coming from the shower. When we got there, the bathroom was already wet. It was
Soaked.
already wet, and I
Soaked.
showed it to him. And they're fixing something else.
They fixed the
on the opposite end of the
drain in
bathroom.
the sink. They were like, "Oh, must be the drain in the sink." Everything is soaked. So they come up. We got random cats coming in and out. We're allergic
All
to
the
cats.
stray
It was
cats,
just.
yeah.
It was pretty wild.
They're
And we
super
were getting
cute.
ready because we have Bible study. So we have our Bible study group online.
Every Tuesday.
So believe it or not, there's no way. I barely slept at all on the flights. My goal was to make sure she slept as much as possible. So she would get comfortable. She'd lean on. I'd be numb for 8 hours. Like, all right, don't move. Just let her sleep. Just let her sleep. Just life will be better this way. Let her sleep. And so we got in there, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna edit this video. I just got the last clip. I got the view. This is how I want the video to end. You know, it needed to start at home in Wooster, needed to end with the view. I'm going to edit it, and then we can jump on our Bible study group online as well. And so we got to do all of that, but George was not happy, smelling smoke.
So nothing against people that like to smoke. When I was younger, I was obsessed with the smell. I used to love it. But now that I've gotten older, I'm so sensitive to it. And it just gives me a massive headache and makes me nauseous. And being nauseous is not fun. I'm sorry, I don't know anybody that enjoys the feeling of nauseousness. And so, for whatever reason, the apartment building that I booked has obviously long-term residents there. And they have B&B apartments that they rent out to visitors. And we were on a floor where both neighbors were chain smokers, and so it was coming through the vents. The people upstairs were chain smokers too.
Which is normal for the area, for the culture, for the people.
And so it was coming in through not only underneath the door, but through the vents. And so the whole time I'm nauseous, I have a headache, and
She had 50 spare random cats all around her, you know.
So then I started getting really stuffy from the
swimming pool
cats.
in the bathroom.
And then I got stuffy from the cigarette smoke, and I got really stuffy from the cat dander.
She's like, "We are not staying here. We're leaving."
There's no way.
So we pack our bags. We don't even tell the manager that we're leaving. And then I'm out. Okay, so I stick out like a sore thumb anyway, right? We are, again, I cannot express this to them enough. You have me with our bags packed out in the middle of the ghettos of Giza. And how random does that look? Okay, so think of it this way. Let's put it in another term. Think of Wooster, Ohio, and predominantly white, right? And so put a Muslim individual there
With luggage.
On the side of the road
Downtown
in Wooster, Ohio. How out of place is that? Everybody was stopping and staring.
There was a lot of kids up in the balcony, and they're like, "Hello,
Hello,
hello,
hello." And then she's like, "Well, I don't have connection to my Uber driver." She's
yeah, and
like,
I kept losing internet again.
She's like, "We need to just go down the road." I'm like, "George, I am not dragging this luggage down the road in the ghettos of Giza to look for
So
an
I've
Uber.
never used
Uber
Uber.
comes to us. They will find us. I'm
Yeah.
the only white guy with luggage and so out of place, so
Using
randomly
Uber
out
for
of
the
place.
first time, I'm still learning the app. But like according to the app on the map, he was literally like down the street, like feet, like hundreds of feet from us.
The locals were staring.
Oh gosh, they were staring through our
like what
souls.
is this dude doing with his luggage in the middle of Giza? And the funny part was the guy that you see in the video helping George get in contact with our Uber driver. That was the owner of the apartment.
Well, he was trying to make it right for us.
He relentlessly was trying to make it right. He's like, no, go. I give you a new room. I have more. I was like, no, we are leaving. I was like, you don't understand this woman. We're done.
We told him that we wanted to stay in a place that had access to restaurants and pretty much restaurants for food and water. And so one of the guys there knew what we were trying to say and was able to translate it to him. So then he tried to take us to one of his other properties.
It was just everything, no problem. And we went, no, absolutely a problem. Gots to go. Even her brother was talking to me later. So we went from $41 a night in the apartment to a place that is we'll say a lot more, just a lot more, a whole lot more.
So,
and her brother goes to me. Her brother goes, "Why in the world would you play that much?" And I was like, the choices were your sister is upset or she's happy and it costs a little more. I'm always gonna go on your sister is happy.
Well, everything else in the area was similar to what I had already booked, and I didn't want to go an hour out to come back an hour after driving through that traffic just to experience the museums and the pyramids. So I was like, no, let's just stay in the area. And that was
where you picked
that was the oldest hotel in the area. And I mean, it had
miss it right now.
It had everything we need. Every morning we'd wake up and we're on the balcony and there was the Great Pyramid.
We're back in Cairo. We got to Cairo and they put us in our room. Smelled like smoke. She's complained to 2 people. We finally got adjusted up into another room. So
yes, we did splurge a little bit on the room there, but I told him, I said, you know what, this is going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity to be here.
It was worth it.
We typically don't splurge. I usually try and find hotel rooms that are like $75 to $100 a night. And
it was worth it. That view.
I said, when are we ever gonna do this again? So it's okay. I'm gonna.
The first night.
I'm not gonna be mad at myself for wanting to spend a little bit more than we typically spend
on a
hotel
beyond
room.
Worth it. So George is happy.
There's 3 restaurants on the hotel.
We have an incredible view.
There was very high security, so we felt very safe.
Yeah, remember when you're traveling into other countries, you're not only paying for your housing. So the Mena house where we were at, did I say it right? Mena house that we were at. You're paying for the security, you're paying for the availability of food, water, all of those things.
And the customer service was like really, really good.
Oh my goodness, the
concierge.
we literally are telling people, no, leave our luggage alone, leave us alone, because they want to do everything for you. Like, even when we left today, we're like, no, we will pull our own luggage. We're fine. We are okay. We can do this.
And they insisted on taking our luggage for us to our Uber. So
part of that is because they want tips, and we understand that and we realize that. But part of it was their customer service philosophy there at the Marriott as well. But it was beyond worth it. Just the view. The first night we were there, we went out onto the balcony, which we ended up jumping over all the time to go for meals.
Every morning we would jump the balcony, which was on the first floor, to go to the breakfast, because they gave free breakfast.
Well, no, trust me, we paid for it, but
well, breakfast was included in the rate, I should say.
Should we tell them how much the room was,
and then
just in case they ever want to go? Or
they were setting up for a wedding, so he got to experience.
It was
his
awesome.
First Arabic wedding, which was a lot of fun.
But our first night, we just sat out on the balcony.
We watched a movie.
And we watched a movie on Netflix out on the balcony with the pyramid right there,
looking
smack
right
in
at
our
the pyramid.
face.
Yeah.
And I leaned over to George. George leaned into me, and I told George, I said, and then her response was, "What? What? 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 Yeah. It was awesome. I'm pretty sure I told you, I said
Here's for all the super chats that I'm missing. Sorry guys, we can't see the chat right now, but we know that over 4,500 people are watching right now. And a lot of you have sent super chats, and we're sorry that we can't see the chat right now.
But we appreciate it.
We appreciate
Beyond
you guys hanging out
appreciate
with
it.
us.
Beyond
We didn't go
appreciate it.
live Wednesday like we had planned, but we're live now.
We did not have the internet connection at the Marriott to be able to go live. It's just it wouldn't actually support it. But I leaned into you then while we were watching a movie, and you had a blanket over us, and the pyramids were in front
The
of us.
blanket that used to be
It used to be a heated blanket that you're upset about,
but it's still warm. It still keeps me warm.
And I leaned in and I said, I wouldn't want to be here with anybody but you, George. And you responded.
I said, I feel the same way. Like, there's no one else in the world that I'd rather be here with as well. Or at least for my first experience.
Only the first experience? Really?
Oh, Egypt?
Really?
It's my first experience in Egypt.
What about the second experience?
I don't.
Really?
Let's not
Really?
get there. Let's talk about
Okay.
the second
All right.
experience once we cross that bridge.
There's more bridges to cross. We really, really enjoyed our room there. It was from going to bed at 11 a.m. because that's when we would finally go to, because we are so jet lagged and so messed up. Like
11 a.m.
Ohio time, we just finally fall asleep at 11 a.m. And George, at 2 a.m. Egypt time, George would be like, please watch a movie with me, stay up. And I'm like, okay, I'll try. I was like, we have to go to bed. We have to actually get sleep.
I would let you sleep. When he starts snoring, I don't try and wake him up at all.
She would let me get as much sleep as possible. I almost didn't sleep at all until we actually went into the pyramids, which, how cool is that?
Pretty awesome. We had no idea that we could go into the pyramids.
If you have not watched our video
expect
from
that at all.
Saturday, you have to watch the video from Saturday. A lot of people are saying it's one of the best videos we've ever put out, which a lot of people say that about a lot of our videos, whether it be our engagement video, whether it be our
certain
Resource
videos
Love videos.
hit hard, not only in here, but up in here.
Well, a lot of people were actually commenting saying that they were crying as they were watching that video too.
Yeah.
And I kept telling you, I was like, I didn't put anything emotional in there. Like, I know when I'm putting emotional stuff in there. I was like, there's wind and big rocks and
I think what may have touched them emotionally was that we made it to one of the 7 wonders of the world. And they live vicariously through us, and so I think the ones that got emotional or crying felt like gratitude that we were able to take you guys with us during our adventure.
Not only did we make it to one of the 7 wonders of the world, we went inside.
We got to play around and crawl
inside.
in it too.
Now
we got in the guts.
Let's
all up in the guts of the pyramid.
Let's talk a little bit about that. The video will never, ever, ever do justice.
Oh no! Like when we show you the stairs, the wooden stairs that are in the pyramid, it almost looks like a straight, like little tunnel.
It's
on an incline.
So
it's a shaft on an incline. You really have to be in good shape to even be able to crawl through it, because you literally have to hunch over.
Everything that went through the shaft. Obviously, those were enclosed and hidden once the pyramid was closed off, and it was no small feat. Number one, bending over, but number two, the legs. Oh my goodness!
Our quads were on fire the
this
next day.
This is no joke whatsoever. I could not walk the next day. I barely could walk after you saw the second one that we were in. That one tore me up, and I twisted my right knee.
That one was even more narrower.
More narrow, very difficult. And then George was like, no, I'm not going to go up the rest. You can go up the rest. And I was like, should I really leave her? This is
the
probably
one
not
that was
smart.
infested with bats.
Bats, that's the one.
That one was a difficult one. And you see in the video our awesome tour guide, who's also an Egyptologist, Camille. He's like, You go. I stay out
He's
here.
and he kept thinking, he's like, okay, Jeremy, you're not going in another one, are you? I was like, take me to another one. I'm going in. I had, at
he
this
kept
point,
testing Jeremy to see
how far I would go. And I told George, I was like, okay, I hurt my leg. I actually sprained my knee in there, and I was like, I don't care. This is the only time we're ever going to be able to do this. And this is the only time we're ever going to be able to show the world what this is really like. And I was like, I want to be able to show our kids someday that mom and dad went deep into the pyramids, and you know, they didn't shy away from any of this. But it was intense. The next day, I could not walk.
Oh, we felt it.
I could not walk.
He was probably in more pain because it's so much taller.
I was in so much pain. I was begging George. So I would beg George. I would go, George, can you please massage my leg muscles? And
he wouldn't beg. He'd cry.
Then
my legs are my muscles are so sorry.
And then she would start to touch my muscles, and
Use
I literally
words,
was.
Jeremy.
I was
Use
crying. It hurt so bad. I was like, ah!
So I would like do stretches.
They don't know. They don't know what it's like to climb in pyramids. They don't know.
And so I would stretch him out because stretching helps a lot.
It just hurt. It just hurts so bad.
It just hurts while you stretch.
Hurt so bad. But it was all the muscles in my legs, top, back, front, you know, and it was my glutes. My glutes were so sore. Like, it hurt to even sit on a toilet.
Your cankles were on fire.
Oh, my cankles were so on fire. Oh my goodness, it was just so intense.
How are your arms?
My arms were fine.
How are your legs and glutes now?
I had a really good masseuse. So, but she literally massaged me all day. My body hurt so bad. It was George,
the only way to get him to
again?
Stop crying.
I was like, can you massage me again, please? I was like,
so the next day, Kamal wanted to take us to Alexandria, and we're like,
there's no way.
There's no way. We need to rest. We're getting old.
It's like,
and he's like all hyped up. He's like, come on, let's go. It's a 2-hour drive.
He goes, we'll start at 7 a.m. It'll be a 2-hour drive. We'll have so much fun. And I was like,
as fun as that sounds,
I'm like, come on. I haven't even slept since we left.
And he understood. He was understanding. And so I told him we would keep in touch if we do decide to do the Alexandria day tour with him. So
the next day, we did nothing but stay in the room because I could not walk.
We went to breakfast.
I can't. Oh, because I had to jump because we were jumping the railing.
We jumped the balcony.
I couldn't even jump the balcony. I had to roll over it. All the landscapers
are looking at us like, what are they doing? They must be American.
yeah, without a doubt.
We did go to breakfast. We managed to make breakfast before 10:30, and then we kept the patio door open the whole time. Let the sand and the breeze come in. And
remember, you are in a desert. So Egypt, 95% of Egypt is desert. You have two giant, massive deserts, and in the middle of these massive deserts, it's the Nile, right? The Nile. Okay, so you have the Nile and you have the delta of the Nile, and really that's where a lot of Egyptian civilization started, in that delta, the northern portion of the Nile, and that's where all the silt came down and all the bountiful soil versus all this sand everywhere. So it's really interesting to see the makeup of the land, and I've learned so much about Egypt's history, and obviously from the Bible. Okay, so I think most of our viewers know that I have a seminary degree. I have a master's from seminary, and so getting into a place that you've imagined and even seen pictures and photos and videos of, but you've imagined as you've read your Bible and you're going through the text of the Bible, and you put this all into alignment, and then you get to see the pyramids, and we got to see the first mud brick pyramid, and we know that Pharaoh took the hay away from the Israelites as Moses was saying, hey, you let my people go. And then here you are,
my people.
You're seeing the first mud brick pyramid, and where Pharaoh said, all right, you want to be that way with all the plagues coming in? I'm going to take the hay away. Now you're just going to make mud bricks. It's just, it starts to come alive. And so it's very, very interesting to see desert, and then in the middle, oh my goodness, there's the Nile and the fruitfulness of the Nile, and then desert off to the other
The
side.
palm trees out here, amazing.
I think most of them are date trees. Everybody keeps asking if we would like a date, and I go, yeah, I'll take as many as I can get with her.
Dates, farming. The first pyramid we went out to was like out in farmland, and so we got to see a lot of green versus desert. But they farm a lot of tomatoes, they farm a lot of cabbage, they farm a lot of
Dates.
And so seeing that was really cool, and we got to see a lot of donkeys and on the carts.
Have you learned any new phrases while we've been out here?
Arabic phrases?
I've learned one.
Which one?
Hello! I learned another one. Maybe later?
They do. The ones that try and sell you,
which is everybody.
They're always like, "You want to buy?" And when you say no, they're like, "Maybe later."
Maybe later. Maybe later. So George and I are going to do a little experiment. The next person who tries to sell me something, so we're gonna haggle. So everything is $1, $1. So I'm gonna go no, and they go maybe later. I go $5, and so I'm gonna start going up and see how far. But I gotta get her to film it all. So I gotta get him to film it all.
He's gonna have fun just confusing.
And then when they say no, I'm gonna go maybe later. So we're gonna have a little fun, but that'll be filmed later. We haven't got to that point yet. It does get to the point of there's this whole balance of the Egyptian people are very entrepreneurial, and if you don't know what entrepreneurial means, they hustle. They hustle. They're building their business. They're self-employed. So like George and I, we hustle. We build. We work hard. So we were telling her Baba last night. Like, oh, we're going to bed at like 2:30, 3 in the morning. And the reason why that is because we have to work so hard to do what we do every day. We don't just stay up just to stay up. We're editing, we're making videos, we're doing all the social media, everything. It's nonstop. Our business is nonstop. It never ever stops. People who clock in 9 to 5 or whatever hours they work, they get to go home after that. We're self-employed. We own our business. It does not stop. Our business doesn't ever stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
So we're working really hard behind the scenes on all of that. And
there's a lot behind the scenes that has to be managed on the daily, multiple times a day, when you're juggling so many different social media platforms.
There's a lot of respect for the Egyptian people who are actually out there finding ways to hustle, finding ways to make money. And that the other side, because we love entrepreneurship, we love people who are building businesses. I love small businesses and what people are doing for other people with their businesses. On the other side, there is that point of annoyance that everybody
literally
is
every
trying
3 steps
is trying to get another dollar from you.
With the same items that the last person tried to sell me. They're like identical items.
Which, again, I've been into South Africa. It's that way in South Africa. Italy is not so much like that. It is if you go into Roman tourism and you've got the street actors and they're trying to get money from you for pictures and things like that. But Japan wasn't like that at all. That's just a whole nother culture. They wouldn't do that, approach you that way. But the thing that it is for me, the annoyance for me is I'm 6'2", George is 5'2", and everywhere we would go, George is always 10 feet behind, and
he's got much longer legs than I am.
And
then I would stop and take pictures.
So I'm trying to keep up with our tour guide, and then I'm keeping up with the tour guide. Well, then George is behind, and then all of a sudden they're hounding George, and I would back up. And get in between them, and I was getting tired of it. I'm really getting tired of it. It's one thing if they're hounding me and a 6'2" huge guy tells you no. It's another thing if they're just nonstop relentless at her, and some of them we're getting to that point.
Well, I was watching one of them approach another American couple, and they kept saying no thank you, no thank you. He literally took whatever he was selling and trying to put it in his hand. He kept trying to force it in his hand to take it.
If you
Like,
watch,
oh my God.
if you watch the last video with the camel, and if you actually listen to behind the scenes, so we're taking a picture with the camel, you'll hear the actual guy, you'll hear another guy come up and go, I take nice picture for you, $1. Well, I turn the camera off and I tell him, I take nice picture, no dollar. And so George starts laughing afterwards, and so does our tour guide. Camille's cracking up. Camille's cracking up that I'm telling these guys. He's the one guy that I thought he was pretending to be a security guard in the Great Pyramid. Camille did tell us later, he's like, no, he's staffed there. And so instead of allowing us, which again, it's a fine line of allow versus not allow, because all of these people you don't know who's telling you anything, or who's a true badges. You don't know who's a true worker.
Themselves.
These people will literally just go in there and then they'll tell you, no, you're not allowed to do this, and then they'll take your camera and go, well, if you give me money, I'll do it for you.
Or they'll try and direct you in traffic to get you out of the jam to get money.
To get money, to anything to get money. So again, there's respect in that aspect that they're very entrepreneurial.
That they want
so
to.
They're hustling.
Thanks, Mary Williams.
And,
oh wow, the chat. I can actually see the chat now.
Oh, nice. That's one thing that I was telling George. I was like, I have mad respect, and mad means good. I have great respect for these individuals hustling to make money, because they're not living off of a government that's giving them stimulus checks and things along those lines. They're actually out there trying to make money, and I respect that wholeheartedly. It's hard to respect it when there's not respect for her or for other people, the aggressiveness of it. And so I would get upset a few times because it was too much. It was too much. But we had fun.
It is overwhelming a little bit when they're all swarming you with the same type of inventory.
But there's fun too. So when kids, and I'm so used to this, like when I was in Japan, I had 50 Japanese kids all over me, and I'm just a giant jungle gym, and so I'm so used to this, kids seeing me, and like in Japan they called me the White Samurai. Here is just hello. And so the kids, you see just a little glimpse of a clip, but the one kid. So the one kid, they all wanted pictures with me because they've never seen a white guy before. I mean, that's just their life. They lived in southern Cairo. They've never seen a white guy before.
He wanted to take selfies with Jeremy.
So they want selfies. They didn't know who we were. They just have never seen a white guy before. And I'm accustomed to this. This is nothing new for me. I have pictures of myself with nationals all around the world, and I've shown a lot of them to you. In Japan, it's always you get the peace sign, and so here they do the number one. It's we're number one.
Well, this I think is just like a millennial thing.
Probably, but the one kid. Then we our tour guide Camille told him that we were YouTubers. We were famous YouTubers, and so he looks at me and he asked if he can get a photo with George. And so jokingly, I said this. I went,
he goes,
I will break you. And so I told him if he even tries, I will break him.
They had no idea what he was saying.
And
they had no idea what he was saying.
So we were just having fun. The kids are always a blast. The kids are always a blast.
They're so harmless.
Yeah, that was fun with the kids all around at the pyramid. That was a good time. And you will see Tuesday, you'll see another kid. This is all happening. You'll see it on camera, and we highlight it. This kid is literally taking video of one of the most ancient artifacts in the world, fascinating artifact, and he changes all of his attention to getting a video of the big white guy in Egypt. It was so funny.
Yeah, that was funny. It's been a fun experience. I think tomorrow we'll be in a completely different city. It's it's considered the second New Cairo, where they're building brand new buildings, and they have those like outdoor malls. So we'll get to experience that, and then I want to talk to one of my aunts on planning like what other major cities that we want to visit while we're here, and kind of plan it. How many days we should stay, which cities would be worth visiting. I definitely know I want to visit Luxor. That's one of the major cities I want to visit.
So what have been
Alexandria's up in the air right now.
What have been your top 3 favorite things so far on this trip?
Top 3 favorite things.
Top 3 favorite things.
I think the balcony view.
of the pyramid over
Yes.
at the yeah,
Yeah, our balcony.
at the Marriott.
Yeah,
That was
pretty awesome.
That was pretty awesome. It cost a lot, but it was worth it.
It was worth it because we'll only do it. This
You
won't
only
be
do
the
it
only
once.
time
You
that
only
we'll
do it once in your life.
Yeah.
And the reality is, and I don't say this arrogantly or
Well, don't say it at all.
well, I'm just gonna say it doesn't hurt us to be able to do that for that one
Well, we worked
once
hard
in our life.
for
We
it.
worked very hard for it. We've worked
We've
very,
saved up
very
for
hard.
this trip
We've worked very, very
For
hard,
years.
and
for years.
now we're able to do something like this. So that's it's not going to hurt us to be able to do that and have the memories that last forever, to be able to even say to your kids someday, look, mom was in the heart of the Great Pyramid. You know, you're half Egyptian, and your mom and your dad were crazy enough to go inside the pyramids. To be able to share that and to say that, I mean, that's an incredible thing.
Yeah. Seeing real, live ancient mummies was pretty mind blowing.
Which they haven't seen yet.
They haven't seen that.
Yeah, they haven't seen that yet.
And then, honestly, I'm very grateful to even be able to be out here and to experience it. So I'm not a favorites girl. I don't have favorites.
You always have favorites. She'll go, I don't have any
What are
favorites.
your-
And she'll be like,
what are
hey,
your
do you know what
three?
my favorites are?
What are your three?
My 3 favorite things that have happened out here so
Yeah.
far? I can't mention those.
Okay, how about the
What happens
how
in
about
the
the
what happens in the
mentionables?
pyramid
How about
stays
talking
in the
about the
pyramid.
mentionables then instead of the unmentionables?
I never in a million years would have thought that I would have been in pyramids that were built 4,000 years ago, and
It was over 5,
I keep saying to George, I was
close to
like,
6,000.
did you imagine, we met each other 3.5 years ago sitting across the table from one another at Buffalo Wild Wings in Medina. Could you ever imagine that 3.5 years later we would be in this position where we're engaged, we're buying a house together, and now we're in Egypt and we're staring at the pyramids and we're actually going in them. It just hasn't sunk in yet. The reality of it all has not sunk in yet. That I would have never in a million years thought that this is where we would be in our journey.
Jeremy was literally in disbelief until his body was physically in a pyramid, that we were even in Egypt.
So I can't believe that I'm in Egypt with George. I've been asking her to go to Egypt with me since I met her. And so this is just it's mind-blowing to me. So if we could take that as number 1. Number 2, as I tell you all the time, you're my favorite person in the world. You're my best friend. And so just sharing that experience with somebody that I'm so close with and that I'll be able to share that experience with for the rest of my life, that's a pretty incredible thing. So that'd probably be number 2. Number 3, that's a pretty good one though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. You want me to share with them?
sure.
The donut holder. The donut holder, that thing holds donuts.
Someone had left a comment that
Genius.
they had a donut holder at their house. And
Yeah,
I
somebody
absolutely
did
love
leave
it.
that comment. Somebody did leave that comment. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think the overall thing though is just every time I've been overseas is understanding how spoiled we are as Americans, and not to take for granted the blessings that we have on a daily basis. Again, if we have a roof over our head, if we have 3 meals a day, if we're able to pay our bills, even if we're living paycheck to paycheck, we're in the top 1% of the most wealthy people in the world. And that's just mind-boggling when you see the rest of the world and how they can find joy in their circumstances, in their situations, and yet as Americans we complain about everything. And so it puts it in perspective.
Yeah, if you're from the United States, the saying "first world problems."
It puts it in perspective, appreciation for what God has
Yes.
blessed us with, and it's mind-blowing what God has blessed us with in the United States. Again, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you are in the top 1%, the wealthiest people in the world. And so we are so blessed, and it just emphasizes it again. Every time I go overseas, it emphasizes it again and again and again and again. How could I ever complain about anything? I take so much for granted on a daily basis, and I'm blessed beyond belief, more than I ever deserve. And I hope that God can use what He's given us to be a blessing to others for His glory. I truly do. That's the prayer. That's just the overall emphasis all the time when I'm overseas. And so maybe that's up there with the top 3. Is that 3? Okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
3.
There's 3.
It's very good.
You know what the other thing I'm thrilled about? George got his channel taking a risk back.
Oh, yeah.
Woo-hoo!
He's going to be going live next after
Yeah,
us
he
here
is.
in less than a minute.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk about that on his channel. So be sure to hop on to Taking a Risk, my brother's channel, George.
We're going to be taking some risk here. We're going to be taking
Hear all
some
about what
major
happened.
risk this week.
Mhm.
There's a wedding on Tuesday, isn't there, George?
Tuesday would be pretty much tomorrow.
It's going to be pretty, you know what, that is tomorrow
Pretty much
because
tomorrow.
it's 4 a.m. here. Huge risk here in Egypt. You are not going to want to miss this week. Tuesday's video is already set and ready. You're going to see a mummy. You're going to see George's mummy. You're going to see my mummy. You're going to see everybody's mummy.
Plural.
Oh,
Forget
mummies.
plural.
Mummies.
Plural. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Sorry we didn't go live. We're going to try and go live.
We can try on Wednesday.
We can try on Wednesday depending on our internet connection. So stay tuned for that. And then don't miss Tuesday's video, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you on Taking a Risk channel as he goes live now. We love you all. Say good night, Jeremy. We'll see you
Good
guys
night.
in the live chat.
Do you think we'll actually get sleep? It's 4 a.m. here in Egypt. Should we try and sleep at least?
I don't know.
All right,
We can
maybe-
pull an all-nighter.
All right, we'll sleep at 2 p.m. again. We'll sleep at 2 in the afternoon. I don't know why. Why are we
Bye,
doing
guys.
this?